Hey there, folks. Ben Farrell for Benn Farrell Freelance here. This is episode 22, and this time we're doing it from Las Vegas so we can talk about believable dialogue. Hey there, Ben Farrell for Benn Farrell Freelance. This week we're going to be talking about writing believable dialogue. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to examine how people actually talk to each other so we can know how to write our characters accordingly in a way that's believable. So I thought, go where people are, so that's why we're here in Vegas shooting this episode. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about why it's important to be writing believable dialogue, because I think that's a little obvious. Instead, what I want to show you is a little trick. I actually learned this trick in college. What one of my playwriting classes had us do is take a recorder and record a conversation between people, then come back and actually write it out as a play word for word. That way you could compare what your actual in the field gathered dialogue was compared to the kind of dialogue that you write, and see the differences between how you're having your characters talk and how people actually talk. We all know that it's very rare to meet somebody who talks in perfect sentences. A lot of us use colloquialisms, a lot of us cut off sentences. And this is just a good little practice, a good little exercise just for yourself to get acquainted with how people actually talk, so that way when you go to write your dialogue for whatever you're working on, it's far more believable. So it's not about the importance of why your dialogue should be believable, it's a little exercise on how to help you learn to make it more believable. So I have my device here. I'm going to go around, we're going to see if I can't sneak some conversations onto this, and then when I get back home I'm going to write them up so we can take a closer look at them. I'm going to go ahead and hit a different hotel, see if we can get some other conversations. All right, so now that we have a couple of conversations recorded, let's go ahead and get home and we'll get them written up. Okay, so now I'm back home. I've had a chance to listen to some of the conversations that I gathered in Las Vegas. And now what I'm doing for the exercise is I take those conversations that I'm listening to and I transpose them word for word exactly how they're said. For this particular exercise, it's very important that you do not change or correct their grammar. You need to write it word for word. Also for this exercise, what I tend to do is put it in a stage play format because that's the kind of writing I do. But the format doesn't matter. You can do it in whatever format you'd like. Remember, the purpose of the exercise is to just get a feeling for what it feels like to write and punctuate the way people actually speak. So let's go through just a couple examples of what I picked up in Vegas. So here is a conversation I picked up. It's between two men. I'll call them Fred and Jim. They don't know each other, and Jim is trying to ask for directions from one Las Vegas hotel to the Luxor, another hotel that's nearby. Jim, which direction is the Luxor from here? Fred, it's over there. Head out that door. Actually, do you know where the food court is in Excalibur? Jim, yeah. Fred, you go there, but keep going, like walk past all the tables and stuff, the restaurants, right? Past that, it turns into a bunch of stores. Keep going and you walk into the Luxor. Jim, oh, okay, was there earlier, but I didn't remember. I saw a store and I wanted to go back and get something for my daughter, her birthday. Now look at this exchange. Fred started speaking in fragments and broken sentences, and you could tell right away that he started speaking before he thought of the best way to give directions. And then later, he just speaks in a couple of words as his sentences. Jim, when he speaks after that, he's also speaking in broken sentences and fragments. So let's look at another one. So here's a conversation between two men, but only one of them was really doing the talking. I'll call him Brad, and he was talking about his job as a baseball umpire. Brad, the smartest guy doing the job I met was some guy's name, out of Smithfield, said anytime he knew he blew a call on a pitch, he'd hit the catcher on the side of his left leg with his hand, specifically his left leg. He did that because that was his way of letting the guy know he knows he blew the call. When the catcher feels that tap, he knows he'll get him back the next time. Meaning if it's close, like obviously if it's way up here, it's still gonna go, but if something is close, I'll give it to you. Just don't be disrespectful. Don't be standing up and looking at me on my call, because I've had catchers stand up and look back at me when they didn't like the call, and I tell them, you look back at me like that one more time, I'm never calling another fucking strike for you. Now this one's a little different because you have one person who's telling the story in third person about two men. But throughout his story, he doesn't actually clarify which man he's talking about. So the whole thing kind of becomes this hodgepodge of pronouns, and there's some run-on sentences this time instead of sentence fragments. Now, grammatically, it is confusing, but it actually makes sense, and it's written how people speak. Remember, nobody speaks with proper grammar unless they're a robot or just an arrogant prick. So if you're struggling with your dialogue not sounding or feeling real or believable, do this exercise. Go to where people are, record some conversations, come back and write them up, and you will see what it looks like to actually read and write the way people actually speak. It only takes just a little time, and it may actually change the way you approach your dialogue as you move forward. This is Ben Farrell for Benn Farrell Freelance. Thanks for hanging out with me.
It's been 2 months, guys. It's time for a new contest. Come on.
Yeah, so we gotta have 3-sentence stories sent our way once again for the next 2 months. Tell us your 3-sentence stories to go with this photo.
I know, guys, that was a pretty crazy photo.
So get those 3-sentence stories in. If your name is pulled out of our drawing, then you'll win a free copy of one of my stage plays.
And this stage play that we are doing is Morning News.
Morning News. It's a play about small town news, and you can learn more about it by going to benfarrellwriter.com.
So stay safe and keep watching our video. Bye.